Hello, everyone. My name is Tanny Yang, and here I'm presenting my Group 3 presentation for the visual system. So I'll be briefly diving into the anatomy and physiology of the eye and human vision. So bear with me, and I hope it helps a little bit for our incoming exam 3. First, let's get a detailed close look at the structure of the eye. The outermost layer of the eye is the tunica fibrosa, consisting of the sclera and cornea. The sclera is the tough, fibrous white portion of the eye, while the cornea is the transparent anterior portion of the sclera. Cornea bends light rays, helping focus them on the retina. Okay, just to clarify, if you have ever heard a term we haven't got a chance to introduce, don't panic. They will all be clarified later. In the middle layer, there's tunica vasculosa. It has the iris, ciliary body, and choroid. The iris is the muscular color portion of the eye. It changes the pupil size to regulate the passage of the light. When we suddenly come into an environment with bright light, the iris constricts so that the pupil will get closed in case of the too much light entrance into our eye. On the other hand, when we are suddenly into a dim light environment, the iris will dilate so that the pupil will open to receive more light to clearly see the objects in a dark environment. The ciliary body is the muscular ring around the lens. It changes the shape of the lens to focus light. And the choroid layer is the middle layer of the eyeball. Lastly, in the inner layer, there's tunica nervosa, which is retina, a structure with tons of photoreceptors to get message from the light and transmit into our brain. Here we're moving on to the anatomy of the orbit. The conjunctiva is the mucous membrane that protects the anterior surface of the eyeball. It works primarily to protect the cornea and turns underneath to line the eyelids. It has stratified epithelium and areolar connective tissue. The goblet cells produce mucus, and the conjunctiva connect eyelids to the eyeball. The eyelids, on the other hand, that cover the eyeball. They are folds of skin that close to protect the eye, and they're connected with the cilia or the lashes to protect our eye. The lacrimal glands play a pivotal role to secrete tears. The tears has a moistening and cleansing function for the eyeball. The movement of the tears is from the production site of the lacrimal glands, then to the lacrimal canals, then get down to the lacrimal sacs, then drain to the nasal lacrimal duct, and finally drains into the nasal cavity. And our eye has a clever mechanism for visual accommodation. Accommodation means the control of focus with the help of the ciliary body, the suspensory ligaments, and the lens. To better illustrate the mechanisms of how they work together, here's the table I make to help you understand what they're doing to function accommodation as a whole. When we look at a close object, our ciliary body will contract, which loosen the suspensory ligaments and maintain them in a relaxed status. As a result, the lens is getting rounder. to help better visualize the objects at a close distance. However, on the other hand, when we look at something at a distance, the ciliary body will dilate. What's the incoming effect is the pressure on the suspensory ligaments and get it pulled tight. Resultantly, the lens will get flatter to better visualize the objects far away. Here I'm introducing two types of the humor or the liquids in our eye, the aqueous and the vitreous humor. The aqueous humor is situated in the anterior of the eye. They're more watery and their function to lubricate the eye. The vitreous humor, they're situated at the posterior of the eye. They're more viscous. They're used for light refraction. And also, I'm briefly introducing the pathology of a degenerative eye disease, the glaucoma. It's the blindness due to increased intraocular pressure from the aqueous humor drainage blockage, which normally gets drained into the veins. Okay, let's move on to the tunica nervosa, which is the retina. The retina is the innermost layer of the eye. Be sure to remember that the four engines of the retina, most lights are absorbed by the melanocytes found in the choroid layer. And the retina, it has tons of photoreceptors. They work to change the membrane potential stimulated by the light energy. The retina contains rods that see gray tones in dim light. Conversely, it also contains the cones that see color in bright light, primarily red, green, and blue. In essence, rods and cones. Also, there is a greatest visual acuity. The sharpnesses of our vision occurs at the fovea. However, there's also a blind spot where no photoreceptors are present at the intersection of the optic disc and the optic nerve in our eye. It's like here. Lastly, and let me clarify the eyesight and vision in terms of two very common disorder or very mild disorders, which is myopia and hyperopia. In terms of myopia, also called nearsightedness, our image focus in front of the retina. We can use the biconcave lens to adjust the focus image to put it back to exactly located on the retina. For the other case of the hyperopia, which is farsightedness, much more common in the elderly, the image focuses behind the retina. Hence, we can incorporate the biconvex lens to help them get a closer or in the frontier of the retina to better see the objects in case of the blurry vision. Okay, here's all. Thank you so much for watching and best of luck on exam 3 and 4. Thank you all for the semester.